public. It was private when it streamed it, but I'm gonna try it again because it didn't pop up on my end to let me know that it was running. So we'll see what happens. We'll make it work. But anywho, so we've been working on different strategies, and I was talking to my students, and we're literally just breaking things down to help them understand what it is that they need to do. They took the mock STAR before spring break. We looked at the data, we came back and figured out some things that we needed to do for our students. So we've been working on different. Yeah, we don't want to hear that double. So we're back working on different strategies and helping students see what it is that they needed to do. And I was really surprised. I wasn't surprised, but I was impressed with my students. Yesterday, we went over context clues and how to identify context clues using words around it, knowing that the text it's written word and con is with, so it's with written words. So I'm breaking words down to them, showing them how to identify the root word, the base word, and removing the prefix or the suffix of the word to see if they can break down the meaning of the word to get a better understanding of what it is that they're reading, which is something that we really don't get to. We just kind of skim over it as we're reading. But those are strategies that students, we need to be able to take time to do. And I was talking to my students today, and I'm like, they give us a lesson plan. They give us a curriculum to follow. And they say, okay, teach your students how to do this. One day do context clues. The next day you jump into finding evidence in the text. The next day you're doing something else. Kids can master a concept in one day. It's not possible. And I'm not just saying our kids at our school. There's no school you can go to and you can teach a concept in one day and your students have it mastered. You can't put adults in a room and teach them something in one day and expect them to master it. It takes time to be able to understand the concept, to be able to get it into your psyche, to be able to get it as part of your daily practice to make sure it works. We all know that research shows that, or data shows, that anytime you implement a new program, it takes at least 3 to 5 years before that program shows growth. So how is it that if it takes 3 to 5 years for you to implement a program, for the program to show growth in the students, for you to think that they can get a concept in one day and master it in the same day? It's not possible. It's going to take time, and seeing that kids have not been getting what they needed over the years, they haven't mastered it yet. But if you hadn't been teaching the same concept the same way for 3 years, it would have been mastered by now, and it would be something that the students would know innately, and it would actually just be a part of them, and it would just be something that they would do automatically. But since we do not teach that way in our curriculum, don't go back to the old school. We don't teach that way in our curriculums now. We have everything embedded in reading, and they think that this is working. When they embedded reading and language arts and writing all into one curriculum and put it all together and said, oh, we'll just do 40 minutes of reading, we'll do 15 minutes of language arts and 30 minutes of writing. It does not work. That is the curriculum that I have seen over and over again here in Texas, and it does not work. Our students are not learning what they need to learn to be able to be prepared to do anything, let alone take a standardized test. Now, I have my pet peeves with the STAR test anyway, because according to the STAR test, all students need to show mastery is 67%. 67% is not high. Now, the is 67% in Fort Bend ISD school district is an F. So how does that make sense? You're telling your kids, our kids, on one hand, oh, 67% is not passing, it's not mastery, it's not good. But the state test is telling that you can make a 67% and you've passed. We are setting our kids up for failure. I don't want my kids to just know 67% of the information that they need to know. If we want them to master the test, we need to teach them mastery. We need to teach them how to master. We need to teach strategies that will be lifelong strategies that they can draw from as long as they're in school, not just long enough to take the test and then they forget it. old school. That's the way I was taught, and that's the way I've been teaching. But even with the changes in the curriculum, I try to follow the curriculum, but I'm going to do what's best for my students. And I say I've done a pretty darn good job if all of my students out of the, what, 44 students that I have, that I teach, 63% of them are going to meet or master. And the 17% that is slated, that's at approaching or maybe not meeting our special ed or resource, I feel like I've done a pretty good job with the things that I know how to do. Yes, I use the curriculum, work and what I'm supposed to do, and I have laid out, but I teach the way that I teach. And I make sure my kids understand strategies and concepts and not just memorize and rote learning so they can forget it by next year and have to start all over again. I'm really asking and hoping that I can actually loop up the fifth grade with my students that I'm working with now so I can make sure that they have it and they mastered it by the time they get to middle school. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I'm excited to see where they go next year. I'm excited to see what growth they're going to have next year on STAR. If they remember the stuff that they did. I don't teach them to memorize something. I teach them to learn it. You know, I was told a long time ago that when you know something, you know it. Knowledge means that you know it. And there's nothing you can do to take away from that. And I gave my students that test, same talk. And I told them, when you know something, you know it, and no one can change your mind or take that away from you. I'm like, well, take for instance, you know your phone number, right? You know and no one else can tell you your phone number is not your phone number because you know your phone number. That's when you know something. When you can find and you can stand on your grounds and know this is it and it's not going to change. I know that's the answer. That's the way I teach my students. That's how I want you to learn. That's how I want you to be able to dissect the text. That's how I want you to be able to go back into a passage and find an answer to support, find evidence to support your answer. You know what you're doing because you do it without question, and no one can take it away from you. So it's not just about teaching to a test. I'm teaching you for mastery for life. So we have to be able to make sure that our kids are getting that. And it's not something that I just started doing. And like I said, last year I came into this district in December and really had to start with them in January to get ready for tests. I didn't have them all year. I had them for a few months. And some of them did make gains. Some of them digressed a little bit. But I said, let me have a full year. Let me have a full year with students, and I guarantee you I can show you growth. Well, guess what? I've done. I'm by the grace of God and with His help and what He's given inside of me, what He's given me as a teacher, I know to do after teaching for over years. I just do what I know to do, and my kids, and even some of the kids who were resource or special needs students who go out for services or resources, some of them made gains to the point where they could possibly be approaching and are no longer in the red zone. So I don't take it lightly. I do what I do. I'm a master at what I do, and I believe in what I do, and I stand behind what I do. Once you know what you know it. I know I can help my kids make growth. I and give them the tools that they need to succeed. I didn't wait in for the last 9 weeks, but this last 9 weeks, I told them, you hard. I'm going to push you hard and make sure you know what you need to know. I don't want the test to be a fluke and be like, oh, they just accidentally get past that. No, we're not accidentally doing anything. We're doing it on purpose. We're intentional about what we're doing right now. So I'm excited about where we're going and what's going to happen. And I'm looking forward to what my kids are going to do at the end of this school year. I'm looking forward to celebrating with them and their success and how far they've grown. I've had some students who came in at the beginning of the year who quiet and shy and didn't want to talk. They were scared to say anything. They were going home crying. It was too hard. And now I have those same babies sitting in my classroom, breaking their neck to raise their hand to answer questions. Because not only are they feeling like they've accomplished something, but they build up their confidence. They're not afraid anymore. So we have to be able to cater to our students for a while to make sure that they get strong enough to do what it is that they need to do. You know, I feel like a mama bird now. I'm ready to let them go so they can fly. But we have to get to that point. We have to make sure that we put in them what they need to be able to fly. So many times we expect things to happen. We don't put anything into it. I don't complain about what they don't know, what they didn't know. Well, we talk about it. We do. We discuss it. But at the end of the day, if they don't know it, it's mine to make sure they do. So I'm going to do what I need to do to push them, get them where they need to be. I gave them assignment today on context clues. Yesterday we did, it was a video, and it was asking some simple phrases with words in it that they had to identify, and they had multiple choices to find out what, using the context clues, what does this word mean? Well, they got it. Sometimes I struggle with the simple words. Today, I gave them a slide with secondary words on it. High school. They had words like benign and what was it? Oh my goodness. Indigenous. There was a lot of words that they didn't understand. Xenophobia. But these babies used their context clues and figured out what the answers were. And when I told them it wasn't fourth grade, that it was high school level that they did, they were excited. They was like, well, how do we do that? Because I taught you the concept. And you can use that same concept on any passage that you're reading with words unfamiliar that you don't know. Use the information around it. Is it a synonym? Are there things in there that makes it sound the same? Is it something in there that makes you think it's the opposite of something else? Look at the words on it to help you figure out what that word might mean. Are there any examples? Did they give the definition? Use your tools that you have in front of you and figure it out. Process of elimination. Look at the answer choices. If some of them are just so far-fetched that you know what they mean, then they should start breaking down the word. Does it have a prefix or a suffix on it? Take those off and find out what the base word means. What is the root word? These are the things that I'm teaching them to do. And in a day, they were able from a fourth grade lesson to a high school lesson, and they did it. They aced it. I was proud. So I know now you understand how to use context clues. One of the skills we needed to work on that we're spiraling back to make sure that they have it in order to pass the STAR test. I was proud of my babies today. So these last 9 weeks is what we're going to be doing, is pushing. We are pushing them forward to get them pushed through to pass the STAR test and to push them through on to fifth grade and be ready to go. So I'm excited about the last 9 weeks. I'm regenerated, rejuvenated, revised, ready to go, and I am ready to see my babies grow and flourish. So if you want to hear about some more about my students for the last 9 weeks, tune in next week for another episode of Teacher Talk Tuesday. This is your girl, Dr. Yvonne. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and you have a blessed day. Goodbye.